Welcome back to another video from the Shed End podcast with myself, T.Dot. Before we get into the content, as always, please subscribe to the channel. Let's get some more subscribers onto the channel, and also give this video a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments as well about the performance last night. What a performance it was against RB Salzburg, a team that is unbeaten in 40 games at home. We went to a fortress and we actually came away with a victory, which I thought was really impressive. Obviously Graham Potter had done his homework and his coaching staff had done their homework before the game as well. I was very confident in the, as I said in the match preview, that I thought we were going to come away with the 3 points. I actually got the score prediction right in 2-1. I did think that Salzburg were going to score with the threats that they had in their team, but I have to admit that I was very doubtful when I saw the team news come out, because I saw that Raheem Sterling was a left wing back, Christian Pulisic as a right wing back, Conor Gallagher filling in that sort of Mason Mount role that he's been playing recently. I was a little bit deflated when I saw the lineups, and I did think this is going to go one or two ways, whether we either play really well and we do really well against Salzburg, or we don't do really well. Again, seeing Cucurella as a centre back as opposed to a left back or a left wing back, question marks were being asked of Graham Potter, but it worked. He worked well. Jorginho was in the middle, Kepa in goal, Thiago Silva, Trevor, Chalobah, Kai Havertz, Patrick Aubameyang up front as well. It worked well, and I thought we started the game really well. It was, you could tell the intent was there. The urgency, the pressure to get on top of Salzburg was clearly there as well. And watching the game, you could clearly see that Pulisic and Raheem Sterling weren't acting as natural wing backs. It was more 3-4-3 in my opinion. I felt that we were playing more offensively, and it worked. And I think you can only really do that if you're able to retain possession of the ball, which we did in the previous game. Is something that I flagged up in the Stamford Bridge before the fixture against Salzburg at Stamford Bridge. You know, we retained about 72% possession of the ball. I think in the first half yesterday we actually done better. We had 76% in the first half and then 63% in the second half. So I think that formation worked. Salzburg, especially in the first half, didn't really press us. They left us with loads of space in between the lines. We were able to control and dominate the tempo of the game as well, which I thought was really good and effective. But you can see that Graham Potter is trying to do something with this squad. He's trying to build something and install his own tactical ideas, and it is coming off. It's paying off. You know, he's still unbeaten as a manager at Chelsea after, you know, eight or nine games now, and you can see that what he's trying to install is actually coming out, and the players look like they're playing with a bit more freedom. You know, I think last night, especially in the first half, you know, there was moments where, you know, one touch football, one touch passing, and the movement, the transition from defense to attack, you can see it playing out in the pitch. And obviously, you know, Thomas Tuchel, we got to see a lot of really good things from him tactically as manager at Chelsea, but to see Graham Potter doing it in his system as well, the way that it's working, you know, as I said, Sterling and Pulisic were acting more as wingers as opposed to their you know, wing back duties. You could tell that it was working. I was impressed. I have to admit, I was impressed. Now, if we have to single someone out, I think it would potentially be Patrick Aubameyang, because I do feel that, you know, he had one or two, especially in the first half. There was a brilliant transition from defense to attack. I think, you know, Kai Havertz was involved in it. I think Kovacic was involved in that build-up play as well. Beautiful ball in from Kai Havertz into Aubameyang, and you know, he has an opportunity to either dink it over the goalkeeper, go around the goalkeeper, could put it into the far post, far corner of the goal. I mean, he's done that numerous times for, you know, for Arsenal, for Barca, and I don't know if it was just the goalkeeper closed down that space or I'm not sure, but he had a number of opportunities after we scored that goal, our first goal. I think there was another one from a corner as well. You know, he heads the ball. He's a bit unfortunate there. I think it's Kai Havertz who tries to get the ball in after a brilliant save from Salzburg's goalkeeper, who, you know, we have to give him credit. He played really well. He was, you know, kept the game at 1-0 at before half time. But what a goal it was from Mateo Kovacic, who, again, you know, a lot of people again noticed yesterday were criticising that he doesn't score a lot of goals, but, you know, Kovacic does a lot in that midfield, and I said it yesterday in the preview, and I've said it on many other videos. He does a lot of that dirty work, a lot of that leg work that, you know, some midfielders don't actually do. You know, he drives the ball forward, he wants to get the ball forward to the attackers, and, you know, other side of him, he's potentially got someone, Jorginho, who's quite defensive, and his first intention is to pass it back to the defenders or pass it back to Kepa. Kovacic is thinking of going forward, and I think that's something that, you know, you do need that balance in midfield, especially when you're playing just a two, you know, as a double pivot. You do need one to do the defensive side of things and one to drive forward with the ball, and Kovacic does that a lot. Brilliant goal. I mean, we could arguably say it's a world-class goal because it you know, the way that he takes that goal, whether his intention is to do that, I don't think he had much time to think what he was going to do with the ball. Kind of slices at the ball, but it ends up in the goal. It was a brilliant goal, very reminiscent to the Liverpool one, although that was very better because it was a volley and it was a lot further out. But that's what Kovacic can do, you know, when he finds himself in the positions that he finds himself in. You know, he can do that. He can score goals. You know, he doesn't do it as often as he potentially should, but as I've just said, you know, he does a lot of the dirty work in and around the team as well. So I think he can kind of get away with not scoring as many goals. And let's be honest, you know, when you look at goal scorers, I think of Kai Havertz, I think of Patrick Aubameyang, Raheem Sterling, Hakim Ziyech, Mason Mount. These are the players that I would say need to be scoring the goals for us in our team. Kovacic, of course, needs to chip in and do his bit, but as I said, he does a lot of that sort of dirty work that sometimes goes unnoticed in a lot of games. And also as well, he's carrying an injury. He's been potentially carrying an injury for the past couple of months, going back to last season when you think back to the FA Cup final, prior to that as well. So yeah, I mean, look, Kai Havertz, again, for me, played really well. He took his goal really well as well. We have to give him his credit when credit's due. I do feel that Salzburg in the second half, they came out with more intention to try and close down Chelsea as a team. The press was there, the urgency was there as well. One thing they did do as well, and they tried to exploit the fact that Raheem Sterling and Pulisic at the time weren't playing as wing backs, so there was a lot of space that they were leaving behind that you know, Cucurella and Trevor Chalobah had to cover a lot of ground. So I think that there was opportunity for Salzburg, especially in the second half. They brought on Sesko, who you know, was a threat anyway, but I thought their goal that they scored exploited that, you know, exploited that space behind Raheem Sterling and Christian Pulisic. Obviously Pulisic for the cross that was fed into the box from the right side, but you could arguably say Cucurella has to do a bit better there. You know, I think Thiago charges out at some point. So I do think that was always going to be an opportunity for Salzburg to score, just because of the amount of space we left behind our wing backs, and you know, they utilised it well. Amadou, you know, another player for Salzburg who showed signs in the game that he was able to take players on, and he took the goal really well. It was a beautiful crossing for the goal. But yeah, I mean, they took their goal really well. You know, it's unfortunate that Kepa didn't get a clean sheet out of it, but we dug deep. We dug deep when Kai Havertz scores his goal. I thought it was a brilliant goal that I think it was Christian Pulisic who passes the ball to Kai Havertz, and he's got a lot of time to get this shot on target. You know, no one closes him down from Salzburg. They allow him the room, the space to do what he needs to do, and he took the goal really well. And credit to him, because I think before that as well, you know, I was definitely one of those fans that was watching the game thinking, you know, Kai Havertz hasn't really had the best of games yesterday, but to score the goal the way that he did is something we need to see more of Kai Havertz. I think he's got to do that a lot more. You know, because we see it in flashes of moments for Kai Havertz, but we're not seeing it enough. And there's no, again, like I said before, there's no consistency with our attackers at the moment. They're either hit and miss, hot and cold. So we need to see a bit more of that from Kai Havertz. Ultimately, when you look back, he did actually have a relatively good game, including the goal, but I do think we need to see a lot more of that attacking intention, and I think we will see that. I think Graham Potter, like I said earlier, you know, you can see what he's trying to install in these players, and that sort of quicker tempo, quicker passing, quicker transitions of play, you know, getting the ball in between the lines as well. We've seen a lot more of that under Graham Potter, and I'm loving it as well. You know, something that I think we got to see under Thomas Tuchel, but it was a bit more defensive. Where this with Graham Potter, it's definitely attacking intentions are there 100%. So I do think we need to give Graham Potter the time. We've topped the group. which is a brilliant achievement when you think back to, after the Zagreb game, the draw with Salzburg at Stamford Bridge as well. Then we had those 2 back-to-back games with AC Milan to top the group, officially with Zagreb losing last night to AC Milan. It then gives Graham Potter the time now to look at some of the other players, maybe, rest certain players ahead of a massive game against Arsenal in a couple of weeks as well on a Sunday. So you've got to think now, does Zakaria get a chance in the team? Conor Gallagher, who I haven't mentioned yet, I thought he played really well yesterday. Does he get another run out in the team? Armando Broja could potentially playing against Zagreb now at Stamford Bridge. So it kind of takes the pressure off. Obviously, you still want to win the game against Dinamo Zagreb. You still want to go out with only 1 loss in the group stages. But I do think this is a perfect time now for Graham Potter to assess certain players. Maybe Zakaria. I mean, he's only got, unless he gets his loan deal, doesn't get terminated in the next window, he's only got a couple of weeks still at Chelsea, which the likelihood is he might leave in January in the next window. But if he doesn't, this is his opportunity potentially to show Graham Potter what he can do in the positions that he's able to play in. But I do want to talk about Trevor Chalobah really quickly, because I feel that Trevor Chalobah, I think it's 30, maybe 33 games that he's played in and we haven't lost a game. And I just think, for me, obviously he's learning from one of the best, who again, Thiago Silva had a brilliant game last night, but Trevor Chalobah looks like a solid centre-back. And you look at Koulibaly, who's injured at the moment, you look at Wesley Fofana, who's out injured. One of those two might actually struggle to get back into the team, because Trevor Chalobah at the moment is playing at the top of his game. And we do now have to ask the question, does Trevor Chalobah need to be on the plane going to Qatar? For me personally, it's a yes, 100%. But let me know your thoughts in the comments about Trevor Chalobah's performances over the last couple of weeks, and does it warrant at least a conversation of trying to get him on the plane to Qatar for the World Cup? I think he should be. I think he's one of the best centre backs in the Premier League at the moment, currently, based on form. He's played really well for us, and he just looks solid. And there will be questions to say, he's playing alongside Thiago Silva. He's obviously playing alongside Koulibaly as well, so there are some experienced defenders alongside him, but he's still putting in these performances. He still looks solid. He can clear the ball, he gets rid of it. He's commanding in the box as well. When a set piece, a corner, or a free kick's delivered into the box, he's onto it straight away. And I think that's perfect defending, top class defending. So he's only going to get better. And what an addition to have with the likes of Thiago Silva, who you'd expect would be phased out of the team in the next season or so. So we've got a brilliant crop of defenders there in Wesley Fofana and Koulibaly. But Trevor Chalobah at the moment is definitely head and shoulders above some of the other centre backs in the Premier League, and arguably the Champions League at the moment as well. So massive shout out to Trevor Chalobah. He would have been my man of the match, but I would have had to give it to Kovacic, who I thought played really well, not just for the goal, but for the amount of running, the amount of space and ground that he covers. Like I keep saying, the dirty work that Kovacic does, goes unnoticed at times, but he's a really good player for us. And I think when he's not in the team, we miss him, very much like N'Golo Kante. We miss him when he's not in the team. So, brilliant performance overall from the team. Top in the group. We can now sort of sit back comfortably and watch the Zagreb game without having to worry about whether we qualify for the next stages, the knockout stages of the Champions League. So, I mean, this is a competition that we do well in, and you look back to the time when Roberto Di Matteo was in charge and how we went on to win the Champions League with him. It kind of has those resembles the same patterns. So I'm not saying we're going to win it, but we definitely do stand a good chance now that we've topped the group as well and going into those knockout stages of the Champions League. It's going to be interesting who we get in the next round and how long and how far we can progress in the Champions League. But let me know your thoughts in the comments about last night's game. Obviously, we've got a big game coming up against Brighton at the weekend as well, so there'll be a match preview for that. But let me know your thoughts about Salzburg. Did you think that we played well? Was you happy with the system, with the lineup, the performance as well, the goals? Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and as I always say as well, make sure you hit that Linktree link in the description, and it will take you to all the podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts as well, and all our social accounts. This has been T.Dot from the Shed End. As always, thank you very much for watching this video. We'll be back with another preview very soon. Thanks for watching.